Hey you guys, my name is Jeff. Welcome to the channel. If you have been here before, then welcome back. Today, I want to talk with you about investing. And before we get started, what do you think of the glasses? You know, I wore these for my last video and I just had them around and I just decided to wear them. I opened up the fridge and like everything was red. All the light, you know, the white light in the fridge was all red. I opened up the microwave and the light was red. I want to tell you about a little talk I had today. I took a walk with my dog and also my friend and his dog, and we were walking around and, you know, both of us are into investing and we like talking about these things. And we were just talking about this podcast we'd listened to. It's called the All In Podcast. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I think you guys might really like it. You know, they were talking about their belief for where the stock market is going. And, you know, this is a crazy thing to even ponder, to even try to predict. But for the sake of what we're talking about, which is about how to invest in these times, I think it's a really useful discussion. So he said that one of the guys, Chamath Palihapitiya, was saying that he thinks we've reached like the low, the all-time low for this bear market, for the stock market, and that from here on outwards, there's kind of asymmetric returns, which just means the chances of positive, good returns from this point on are greater than the risk of loss. And then the other guy on the podcast said that, you know, the market may rebound from its lows where we are now, but then, you know, sometime later this year or next year, he sees the market crashing even again, and this time even worse. My friend was telling me about this. I hadn't actually heard the whole podcast. I only listened to the beginning. But what I thought was interesting was my friend was trying to decide how to invest. And in each of those scenarios, you'd invest differently, right? If you think we're at the all-time low, then you'd go all in with your investable money now, right? Because it's just gonna go up from here. But if you think that it's gonna go up a little bit short term, but then it's just gonna tank or crater or cratank or cratator, well, whatever. If you think it's gonna become a giant potato after this, then maybe you don't wanna invest your money because it's just gonna fall through the floor. But you know, when you try to make your investing conform to one of these predictions about the market, I think, this is my own experience, is that you can get a little bit paralyzed and you can get stuck. You know, I imagine just watching a few of these videos, if you're trying to decide what to do and you're watching YouTube, you see some videos say like, hey, we're just entering this massive recession that's gonna last for years and there are gonna be food shortages and you should, you know, do this or do that, or and you start thinking about these things. And I mean, I could see this being really difficult, especially if you're just starting out, maybe in your first few years of investing, or maybe you're just starting this year and you're trying to figure out what should I do? And then you're hearing all these stories of doom and gloom. So why I think this story is useful is, at least for me, is because the way that I have approached investing this year has taken out that whole guesswork about where's the market going. Is it high? Is it low? Is it gonna do this? Is it gonna do that? I'm not trying to figure it out. First of every month, I take a chunk of money, I put it into an ETF. I choose VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, but there are a lot of diversified ETFs and mutual funds, index funds out there. It doesn't really matter exactly which one you choose, in my opinion. But on the first of the month, which happens to be tomorrow, I'm gonna take a chunk of money and put it in. I also, because I love investing in stocks, I take an equal amount and I select a stock and I invest in that. That way, I get the best of both worlds. I get to do what I think is probably a smart thing overall, which is a nice diversified ETF. And then I get to have my cake and eat it too, because I really like picking a stock. And you know, I don't have a lot of stocks to choose from because I only invest in companies that I really understand well within my circle of competence. And there aren't that many companies that fit that category. So I'm only looking at any one time at maybe 3 stocks. I might have a few more kind of that I'll look at, but right now it's a pretty short list, and I'm gonna pick one of them tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna buy my shares in VTI, but I'm also gonna pick a stock. And it really came down to about, like I said, about 3 stocks. And the 2 that I really understand the businesses well, and I'd feel very comfortable holding these for at least 5, 10 years, 20 years beyond, would be Google and Amazon. And I've really been looking at these because their share prices, to me, seem to have fallen really far, way below what I think the true value, the intrinsic value of these businesses is. And so, right now, Google shares are selling for $94.67 a share as of the close of today, Monday, the 31st of October. So that's $94.67. And then the Amazon shares are $102.38. And these are just very low prices. In my experience, you get these once in a long while, and then a couple of years later, you look back and go, oh my gosh, Amazon was selling at 102 and Google was below 100. That would have been a good time. Anyways, this is my own regret minimization strategy, which is I like to do the things that I think make sense for me right now. That way, later on down the road, I'm not going to regret and look back. And I just think it's a good way to live your life, which is to do the things you want to do so that when you get to be older, you don't look back and say, oh, I wished I'd done those things. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I feel like the monthly investing in the ETF is just the low-hanging fruit of investment. It's easy. You don't have to overthink it. And like my friend is trying to decide whether to invest now or whether to wait and what the market's going to do. And when you do that, I think you can get kind of stuck because you just hesitate and you wait, and then sometimes by the time you've noticed that the market's going up, it's gone up 10 or 15 or 20% inside of a few weeks, and then it's maybe too late to get that really good return off of the bottom. Anyways, it's my monthly deal. So my plan is to get some Google stock, and as I mentioned, this was selling close of the stock market today for $94.67. So that's under $100. So if you had like $1,000, you could buy about 10 shares, and that's what I'm going to aim to do now, because I don't know if these low prices are going to be around for another 2 or 3 or 4 years. And so since I have been working like crazy the last few months and saving, and I've really just been, saving whatever I can so that I can continue to invest. And, it's possible that the stock market continues lower for the next few months, maybe into 2023. The stock market could continue going down. And if that's the case, the nice thing about buying each month a certain amount is that you can continue the process at regular intervals. And it takes away that gambling aspect where you try to time it and then go all in. You choose this big moment, you say, that's it, I'm gonna do it. And we're not very good as humans of picking the perfect time to do anything. So I think the aiming for just being consistently good and for making a smart choice and just doing it regularly, I think it makes a lot of sense, at least in my investing life. So I just wanted to go over a little bit the ETF side of this, because I've just mentioned the stock part, because that's really, for me, the only part that requires figuring something out and making a decision for tomorrow. I find it, by the way, much easier if you decide what you want to do ahead of time. Maybe write it down in a journal or on a notepad, or put it in your phone, but say, I want to buy this many shares of this stock tomorrow because, in my case, I really like Google. It's one of the first places people go on the internet whenever they want to find something. It's the destination on the internet that all searches kind of start with Google. And then the other part I like is YouTube, where I spend a lot of time watching videos, creating content, and I just find that these are super useful platforms that are going to be around for a long time. so I want to own stock in Google, right? It's real simple. And you could explain this to an 8-year-old and anyone would understand. You know those videos on, yeah, well, I like that and I want to own a piece of the company that streams all those videos to people all around the world. So anyways, that's Google. Oh, hey there. All right, so let's take a look at the ETF side of this whole investing situation. I like VTI. Now this is a Vanguard ETF and it's a package. It's like a package or a wrapper, and it wraps together more than 4,000 different stocks in companies all based in the United States. Large cap companies, mid caps, and small caps. They're all in there. So like when you hear about the S&P 500, those are the 500 largest companies. They are all in this ETF, along with a lot of other companies of middle size and small cap stocks. And then another ETF that I really like, and I own shares of both of these, is VOO, and that is the S&P 500 ETF. And I own shares of that, and I have for quite a while. And you know, there are different kinds of ETFs in that this only holds large cap stocks, but over long periods of time, 10 years, 20 years, the returns of both of these funds are really similar. So I don't think it makes much of a difference, at least personally, which one I invest in. And then finally, one other that I really like, and I also happen to invest in this one, is VB. VB is the Vanguard. Can you see that? It's kind of orangish. Maybe you make it, put some green around it. VB invests in small cap stocks, and it invests in growth stocks and value stocks, invests in all kinds of small cap stocks. But when you invest in an ETF like this, you don't get the large cap companies. So, you know, some people might say, well, why would you want to do that, right? One possibility is small cap stocks. These are smaller companies, so their potential for growing faster or for doubling or whatever is greater than for large established companies, because once you're a huge company, it's really hard to double in size. The other thing is, if you happen to feel like some of the large cap stocks are overpriced, or maybe you just don't want to invest in Facebook and Amazon and Apple and Microsoft right now, and you want to invest in some other stocks, maybe you already own a bunch of large cap stocks, then an ETF like VB might make a lot of sense, because you get this diversification, and maybe those stocks will behave differently than the others that are in your portfolio. So in any case, this year I have been investing only in VTI. It's not because it's a better ETF, it's just that I wanted to pick one and make sure that every month I invest a certain equal amount into that ETF. That way I can keep it simple, and that way I know I will keep doing it month after month. But one thing I want to mention is, you know, I've been investing for a while, and I have a job now. It's a good job. I'm a photographer, and I've got a lot of really great clients, and it's not predictable. My earning, it's kind of changes from month to month, but it's enough that I'm able to save and invest more now than I could when I was in my 20s, say. But I just want to encourage you guys who are watching this. You know, I imagine in a lot of videos you hear about people just throwing large amounts of money around, just tons into all kinds of investments. And I just want to say that it doesn't really matter, in my view, how much money you start with, or you don't have to have $1,000, which is a lot of money, to start investing. And fortunately, with most of these platforms, especially with ETFs, you can get started with, you know, $50 or $100. There's not like a minimum dollar amount. And so, you know, I remember what it's like to have, you know, it be a challenge to have $100 for me to invest when I was starting out, or $200. So if you are starting out in your investing journey, and maybe this is your first year, or maybe you've just been doing it a couple years, I think it's awesome that you're trying this, that you're experimenting, and that you're learning about this process, and you really don't need to have a lot of money. I want to congratulate you guys on trying this and being interested in it, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there who are not saving or investing for their future, and life, it gets difficult when you don't prepare later on, and you need to either, pay for stuff, or maybe you want to buy a house, or you want to pay for kids to go to college, or you just want to fix your car. I don't know. It's nice to have some money that you don't have to worry about it. And so congratulations to you for wanting to know about this stuff. Really, the amount doesn't matter so much, like I said, but just getting into that habit and that discipline of just doing something good for yourself every month. And if that's $25 that you're able to invest each month, if it's $50, whatever it is, I'd say just start it, because what you'll find is once you've done this for a few months, it will get easier, just like lifting weights or something. Those first weights seem like a lot, but then once you've been doing the workouts and been doing the exercise, you just adjust and you're like, you know what, this isn't so hard after all. So hope this is useful to you guys. If you haven't yet liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not yet a subscriber, then hey, what's holding you back? Why not subscribe to the channel? Then you will get a notification if you hit the little bell every time I make a new video, which will just be pretty cool. So I'm glad you're along with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.